NFL analyst and four-time Super Bowl champion Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Terry Bradshaw hasn't been shy about criticizing his former team when addressing signal caller Kenny Pickett. Bradshaw did that again during a Q&A podcast last week. While appearing on the Home Services podcast on July 1st, Bradshaw argued the Steelers failed the quarterback they drafted at number 20 overall in the 2022 NFL Draft. A first-rounder got rid of him after 2 years, and they're still looking for a quarterback, Bradshaw said. They didn't even do anything to build around him. You draft a quarterback in the first round. He is going to be successful, but you've got to surround him with the kind of talent he had in college. They don't do it, and they call him a bust. The Steelers traded Pickett to the Philadelphia Eagles less than 2 years after picking him in the first round. Pickett wanted to be traded, but that request came after the team signed Russell Wilson in free agency. The Steelers also elected to keep Mason Rudolph in the starting lineup for the team's playoff game to end the 2023 season. Did the Steelers fail QB Kenny Pickett? Bradshaw used Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold as examples of first-round quarterbacks who struggled with a team that drafted him but experienced success elsewhere. That supported Bradshaw's argument that first-round signal callers can be successful if surrounded with the right talent. The NFL analyst could have easily cited himself as well, which could be a big reason why Bradshaw has been so adamant about the Steelers failing Pickett when he addresses the subject publicly. It took Bradshaw 6 years to become a Pro Bowl quarterback. But once he did, he became the most successful signal caller of the 1970s. Bradshaw has a valid point. NFL teams typically give first-round picks more than 2 years to develop. Pickett was also 14-10 with an offensive coordinator regarded as one of the worst in the league and was fired mid-season in 2023. But with 13 touchdowns and 13 interceptions in 25 games, bringing in competition for Pickett was more than fair. And that was the last thing that led to Pickett deciding he wanted to go elsewhere. Bradshaw faced competition with Joe Gilliam and Terry Hanratty. But Bradshaw didn't shy from competition and outplayed both of them in 1974 to become the Steelers' permanent starter during the franchise's first Super Bowl run. Pickett competing for starting job with Cleveland Browns. If Pickett is going to become the next Mayfield or Darnold, he will have to do it with the Cleveland Browns. That won't be easy, as Cleveland has one of the most crowded quarterback rooms in the league. In addition to Pickett, the Browns added Joe Flacco, Dylan Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders this offseason. Regardless of what happens in Cleveland, the Steelers could have always done more to support Pickett. Keeping Matt Canada as offensive coordinator in 2023 was the most obvious mistake the Steelers made. But two things can be true at the same time. The Steelers failed to maximize Pickett's talent, and Pickett wasn't really a first-round talent to begin with. As usual, the reason for Pickett's struggles are layered, wrote Steelers Depot's Alex Kozora. Pittsburgh could have done more to give him more help. A stronger running game would have benefited him. But Pickett was also a misevaluation, a front office caught up in the comfort Pickett brought as the team's next-door neighbor. One not nearly as accurate as the team believed he'd be. Pickett has to become a starter somewhere else for his time in Pittsburgh to be a complete team failure, not his own. The Pittsburgh Steelers gave up former All-Pro safety Minkah Fitzpatrick in a trade for former All-Pro cornerback Jalen Ramsey and Pro Bowl tight end Jonnu Smith. But it's possible the Steelers already have a safety replacement in mind for Fitzpatrick. That's what SI on Steelers' Noah Strackbein suggested when he argued Pittsburgh could sign former second-team All-Pro safety Justin Simmons a day after the Steelers traded with the Miami Dolphins. Former Denver Broncos All-Pro safety Justin Simmons remains on the market, being one of the many big-name veterans still waiting for a job in 2025. At 31 years old, Simmons is coming off his only years with the Atlanta Falcons, and with 2 interceptions and 62 tackles last season, he's still got plenty of gas left in the tank, wrote Strackbein. The Steelers have a few options in free agency. Former Baltimore Ravens Marcus Williams and former Pitt standout Jordan Whitehead are both on the open market still. If the team wanted to move Ramsey to safety or Darius Slay back to safety, they could do that as well. They could also just left one Thornhill fill the role. Signing Simmons gives them their biggest upside, though. He's easily the biggest name of all of their options, and there seems to be no slowing down in his game. With 32 interceptions, including 6 3 seasons ago, he's a proven veteran and 4-year All-Pro. Simmons made second-team All-Pro 4 times while playing 8 years with the Denver Broncos. He also earned 2 Pro Bowl nominations in Denver. Last season, Simmons posted 62 combined tackles, including 2 tackles for loss, 7 pass defenses, and 2 interceptions for the Atlanta Falcons. Could Steelers sign veteran safety Justin Simmons? Pundits pretty much link the Steelers to Simmons as soon as the team traded Fitzpatrick. With the departure of Fitzpatrick, who could easily have been called a cornerstone of the defense, there is a hole at safety alongside Deshaun Elliott, wrote Steelers insider Mark Kavaley. The longtime Steelers insider concluded that Simmons could be on general manager Omar Khan's shortlist to sign. Simmons will turn 32 years old during the regular season. The Broncos drafted Simmons in the 3rd round of the 2016 NFL Draft. He possesses 9 years of NFL experience. Ironically, Simmons finished the 2022 campaign tied with Fitzpatrick for the NFL lead with 6 interceptions. Simmons intercepted at least 4 passes every season from 2019 to 22. Big plays used to be Fitzpatrick's strength, but he had just 1 interception in his final 27 games with Pittsburgh. In 7 NFL seasons, Fitzpatrick has made first-team All-Pro 3 times. He also has 5 Pro Bowl nominations. How Simmons could fit with Steelers. As Kavaley explained, it's a little unclear who will start next to Elliott at safety, with the Steelers parting with Fitzpatrick. Filling that starting role is the most obvious reason for Pittsburgh to target Simmons. Simmons has started 124 NFL games. If the Steelers make no additions, veteran Juan Thornhill will likely start next to Elliott. Ramsey could also see snaps at safety. Simmons' age should be a concern. The Steelers have added quite a few older veterans this offseason, so they could have one of the oldest starting lineups this fall. While serviceable, Simmons also wasn't great with the Falcons last season. But Strackbine sees the veteran safety as an upgrade for Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin loves to add star players when they're old and cheap, in his words. This season, the Steelers are all in. They're hunting for a championship and trying to end their drought with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback and some massive changes on defense, wrote Strackbine. Simmons is likely cheap and probably considered old in the NFL. But he's an instant star to any defensive secondary, and the Steelers are trying to add as many stars as they can get their hands on. If they don't want any questions about how they'll fill safety this season, Simmons is their best answer. Are we just filling segments and stirring the pot? Or are we reporting on an actually possibility of what would be a monumental NFL trade? You decide. Philadelphia's 94 WIP this week brought up an admittedly interesting topic involving the subject of trading for TJ Watt, who is currently embroiled in a nasty contract standoff with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Media trade gossip here is fair game. The Steelers want their guy. He's arguably the best Pittsburgh player of his generation, but their guy might want $40 million APY to make him the highest-paid non-QB in NFL history. Meanwhile, the defending champion Eagles are known for bold moves, and they are relying on the hope that they have enough talent on the edge to help get that job done. Enter WIP's Joe Giglio visiting with Andrew Filipponi of 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh, with the fellas having offered up a hypothetical trade idea that the later media guy seems to feel Steelers coach Mike Tomlin would go for. The 24-year-old edge rusher Nolan Smith Jr. and a day 3 draft pick for Watt and his looming contract extension. A third voice, Elliot Shoreparks, who covers the Eagles for WIP, was in favor of the blockbuster trade concept, saying, "The more I think about it, the more I think the Eagles should be willing to part with one of their great young players, plus a draft pick for TJ Watt. The window to win is now. The edges are unproven, adding what makes every single player on the team, offense and defense, better. A key part of this idea, if it is to be taken seriously, the Eagles are prepared, cap-wise, to write that $40 million check? We're dubious." Another, what if Nolan Smith is on the verge of developing into a star in his own right? Now we go to our own Eagles guy, Aidan Kaufman, who offers a more sober view of the whole idea. The cold, hard truth is that trading Nolan Smith for TJ Watt would be organizational malpractice of the highest order, writes Kaufman. Yes, Watt is a generational talent and future Hall of Famer. But the Eagles have something far more valuable, a 24-year-old pass rusher who's just scratching the surface of his potential. Smith's playoff breakout last season wasn't a fluke. It was a coming-out party for a player who showed up in the biggest moments when the lights were brightest. The financial mathematics alone should end any serious discussion about this trade. The Eagles are already staring down brutal contract decisions with Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, and other young stars needing extensions. Adding what's market-resetting demands would force Philadelphia to choose between keeping their young defensive core together or paying one aging superstar. That's not a choice a smart organization should ever have to make. The Eagles would be trading away 8 years of elite production for maybe 3 or 4 years of declining performance. That's not team building, that's roster destruction disguised as an upgrade.